The unknown. The unknown has always been bad news for me. The unknown has ended up in pain and tragedy. It's that time in the future I can't know or see. Oh, the unknown has been so hard for me. The unknown has been so hard to navigate. The unknown has almost broken my resolve and faith. The unknown has broken me apart. How will the unknown ever heal my heart? Then I hear my soul say, hey, hey, hey. Can you hold on in faith when you can't see the road ahead? Can you hold on when year after year things don't go as you planned? Can you hold on when the path ahead seems blocked at every turn? Can you hold on when holding on it seems so damn absurd? Can you let go of how you wanted things to work out? Can you let go of those programs that caused you fear and doubt? Can you let go of trying to know each step of the plan? Can you let go of the old to let your miracles begin? Can you live in higher consciousness before anyone you know? Can you be a beacon of pure light for so many souls? Can you trust that you're creating a life of magic, love and joy? Because the time has come, you special one, to let your soul shine. Okay, so that was The Unknown. And I'm Deb, and this is Debbie's Sacred Space. Thank you for being here. So that poem was written as a song on the 26th of August 2023. And the reason I'm not singing it at the moment is because my life has taken a different detour, and I've had a bit of a medical issue with my thyroid, and my voice went very hoarse, and I have to at the moment just rest my throat and look after myself. So now I am reading them out as poetry. So I've written to date about 112 songs, which I will be sharing with you as poetry on this channel, about my journey through hell. And it has been long, it has been very difficult, and I'm finally coming out the other side. Am I completely out the other side? I think life throws a lot of things at light workers, empaths, starseeds, earth angels, whatever you call the sensitive ones in this world. And I've been at the helm of that. And basically, I wrote this song, The Unknown, when our dog Charlie was having seizures, and our dog Ollie had inflammatory bowel disease, and his poo would come out as like wine and port. That's what it looked like, just blood, liquid blood. And Ollie ended up having minor seizures and bladder problems, and Charlie was also diagnosed with kidney disease. Charlie passed at 5.5 years old, and Ollie's still here, and I'm working with a traditional Chinese medicine vet at the moment, who has helped massively with his bladder symptoms and his stomach, and at the moment we're working on his mild seizures. At that time we also had little Lily, who was also getting older, getting blind and getting a bit of dementia, and she passed at 17 years and 3 months, I think 3 or 4 months, and 3 weeks later Charlie died of multiple seizures. I'll go more into Charlie's story in another video, because I've written songs about him as well, and the horrific time that was for me and my family, because he would have a seizure, he would wee and poo, and this could happen any time of the day or night, usually night time, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And he would also pace around our block, and he would be looking like something was going to get him. And during the journey with Charlie, I also had him quite often just waking up and just like looking around like that fear, like, I mean, I can't even do it, but it was like something was attacking him. So this story is going to be about the fact that in the end something was attacking him. So empath, light worker, you know, I was an animal healer, and I've seen one miracle that I performed, and that was pretty much the end of it. I have been attacked by entity interference my whole life for 46 years until I met this lady. Tracy Gillies. I spiritually awoke in 2009. I'd already been on other sort of health, things, but I found out about, the dark side of this world, the matrix, the darkness then, and I looked right into it. I was very much a conspiracy theory bit of a nut, and back then they kind of made sense. Now they're everywhere after COVID. Everybody's just making crap up, and I don't even listen to it anymore, because there's people that aren't even doing it on a spiritual level. It's just out there now for anybody, and fear is a massive part of it. But anyway, in my journey when I looked it up, and I will talk about it more because there's books that I've read about frequency and the the dark cult, let's say, the Satanists, the whatever you want to call them, that run this world, that are controlled by entities. What that looks like, I think, it's in a frequency way. So I'd always tune my guitar to 528 hertz, which was the frequency, is the frequency of love, and that was sort of where it kind of started for me. So I basically learnt the guitar, very basic lessons, and I'd written poetry my whole life, and all of a sudden I was playing the guitar and writing my own songs, and that helped me through a massive part of my journey. I started that in about 2015, and it was a release for me. Along with that, I've studied many things. I can talk about them later if people would like to know more on the spiritual aspect of things, from pranic healing, only basic pranic healing, to EFT tapping, to I did a course on Cogno movement only for myself through the Shift Network, but your Reiki, all that. But now, after working with Tracy, it's the only thing that stopped the torment in my life. The more I rose my frequency, the more I stood up for myself, the worse things got. So that's pretty the opposite of what everybody tells you, huh? And maybe your experience has been that it worked for you. Well, for me, it got worse. And the reason is because I've been a target since birth. Most light workers, starseeds, whatever you want to call yourself, earth angels, they are targets. I chose it as a soul. Certainly wouldn't chose it as the me, ego, me here, because it's been the most difficult journey. And like I say, in the psychological world, like the psychology world, I would have been diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, because it just did not stop. I've had it my whole life, and it kept coming, and it got worse and worse. The more I healed, the worse it got. So I don't know what to touch on today about that whole world of the spiritual community, spiritual advice. I think I might leave that for today, because there's so much involved in that I want to talk about. So that journey with Charlie, my dog, that led me to writing that song about the unknown, was because the unknown has never been good for me. Like, everything in life is really unknown. We don't know what we're stepping into, but the Matrix has kind of made this world that you go to school, you go to uni, or you get a education in whatever way that is, TAFE, or finish school and get a job, and you're in the system. You're everything's kind of like, I remember when we were younger, you kind of had this framework of how life was going to go. Like in the 80s and 90s, it was kind of like things would happen. Don't get me wrong, like death happens, life happens, but there was sort of like this framework that made you a successful person, and you had this life, and it was all la-di-da, and for some people, even like being brought up by a narcissist, you just thought that was life. Like, you didn't, nobody said to you, hey, your nervous system's on fire, like going crazy because you don't feel safe here. And by the way, you're an empath, so, you're going to take on way more. And now that you've got all that on you, you're messed up because you are an empath, and it's from trauma. So you're only nice because of trauma. And it's like, whoa, stop the bus. Like, let's talk about this practically. When you come down here as a soul, we all come with completely different jobs, reasons, levels, whatever. It's not who's better or who's worse, it's where you are at and what you've come here for and where your soul has been in the past. So for me, I've come to understand that my sensitivity didn't just come from being raised by a narcissist. Okay, that's one vital thing I want all empaths and things to learn if they've been raised like that. And even this old bloke that I've watched a couple of his videos on YouTube, and he said that people have said, but I didn't have narcissistic parents, and he's trying to convince them that even though they didn't see them as narcissistic or bad parents, they were, because you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't be an empath if, you wouldn't be so sensitive if they weren't. And I'm like, what the hell? When you're trying to convince somebody that somebody in their life was bad or you wouldn't be an empath, that's not good. Like, that's not good practice, and that is solely physical level. Go to the soul, and then you'll understand that you actually come here as a highly vibrational soul that has chosen a path, whether it's parents who understand and who are emotionally mature and who can look after you properly, or whether it's like me, narcissistic, way emotionally immature parents who you held everything for. It came before that. Will living with a narcissist that make it worse? Hell yeah, of course it does. But you came with that spark in you. It was who you were before you came here. Like, we don't just come to earth as nothing. We come here with already a history. And for some people, that history is that you have been a very high vibrational being and you've come down here to help. Okay, I want people to understand that. It comes from the soul, not just this lifetime and trauma. Because there's two people that I've seen, both males, that are selling that on their YouTube channels, and I really needed to speak up about that, because it's important that people understand, yes, it will make it worse. Of course it will, because, then you form beliefs around it, but you're already sensitive. You take that stuff on so easily because it was already there. That divine spark was already there. And to boot, if you're born into a narcissistic family and you're a very highly sensitive soul, I'm just going to call them highly sensitive souls rather than empaths, light workers, whatever. You get the idea. So if you're born into that family, the person who's the narcissist is basically controlled by demonic or multidimensional forces. Dark. Okay? So that's another thing I'm going to blow out the water to with what I've learnt from Tracy, because the reason I resonated with her and the reason that I found her was a little note. I've got that somewhere. I should show that. And if I don't in this video, I've put it up here. Yeah, I do have it here. So I put this on under my pillow on the 21st of the 1st of 2025. So Charlie had died in October 2024, and Lily died, our little Bichon died 3 weeks before him, horrific, and he died 4 days after my birthday. So yeah, that was not fun at all, and he died of he had 14 seizures, and then I'll put videos of that up when I put his pictures up. But the reason that I needed help, and I knew it was entity involvement, and we've got pictures of Charlie where you can see through his head. I knew there was something going on. Like, it wasn't just anymore a thought that it might be. It was a knowing, but I just didn't know how to solve it. And I learnt a way to shut down portals and that, but it just kept on coming back more because it's like there was already so much on our property. And I'll talk more about that when I talk when I read the poems about Tracy's song and other things that I've been through. But I wrote this little note and I put it under my pillow, like I said, on the 21st of January. For those in America, 21st of January 2025. And I wrote, God, how can I get my energy and vitality back? Thank you for guiding me. And I'll show you. There's a nice little, oh, that's probably, yep. Under my finger is me. And I just knew that I needed more help than the people who tell me that I attracted it, that, you know, you change and they'll change and da 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 bullshit crap. You know, just I don't have a bar of that anymore. Like I had like this was to do with animals, and I was an animal healer. I never got to do it as a job because of it. Just everything kept on happening in our lives, and I couldn't actually start it because I just didn't have the energy to. But I wanted to be an animal healer, and at that stage I was building a just before our dog Buddha died, which then we got Charlie. I was actually going to the council and building a room to be able to do animal healing, but it didn't happen. So I knew that there was something else going on, and I just didn't know how to get help. And we'd had one person who released one entity from Charlie from his brain, and it just got worse after that. And the reason why is written in Tracy's book. So that book that I put up before, if you want to know about entity interference, read it. The reason I resonated with Tracy when I read her Epstein-Barr virus book, and that's how that note led me to her book about Epstein-Barr virus, which I also have here somewhere. But anyway, you've seen who she is, so look up her other book about Epstein-Barr virus and the relation to entities. And I bought it, like it had been in my to like list or in my car or whatever for a little while, but I never, with Charlie and that, I was always researching. I tried so many things with him to get his health right, and Ollie. It was a job within itself, having that dog and having those dogs and having that time in my life, because it was designed that way. And there was computer malfunctions, new computers breaking down, new webcams, new microphones. It was just power going out when he would have seizures, like not every time but a lot towards the end, and this will all be talked about because there's reasons for it, and it is the darkness. So basically when I read Tracy's book of the Epstein-Barr one, it just resonated. Everything in there was a knowing. It wasn't just what Tracy was telling me, it was a knowing in here. I just knew it, like it was like, this is what I've been looking for. And I'd had that with certain things before, but this was like, yeah, this is all truth. Like I just know this. And so it went from there, and I booked a little, she has little appointments that you can book to see whether she can help you and what you would need help with. And I remember on that call with Tracy, crying and saying, I just don't want to be here anymore. And that's because it was so fucking hard. And she helped me. It cost a lot of money, but she helped me. And she first cleared our property, and she said, I've never had it before, but your property is come up as a battleground, and that's normally where there's been a war or a battle. And she said, but it was about you. You are what they're targeting. It's a battleground because of you. They want to take you down. That was the message behind it. And again, it was hard to take from my person here kind of thing, but there was a knowing. I just fucking knew it. I knew it. I was surprised because I'd always put crystals in each corner of our block, and we had a massive big quartz crystal in the middle, and we'd done a grid thing, and I just knew that I was protecting myself. I just didn't know what from, and because because what I've learnt is something that everybody needs to learn. And multidimensional entities are smart. Aliens, alien abductions, all the stuff that's going to come out and is coming out. They know more about the human body, as Tracy said, than what we do. They take people, alien abductions are real, they take people and they do look at the human body. And unfortunately, it's hard to convince people because they've been so convinced that, oh, you just smoke a bit of sage and you do this and entities will go. It's like, you can't make a smart entity like that disappear. And what I learned from Tracy, it all comes down to sovereignty, and she has the statements to remove them because of her walk through hell. Now, it wasn't a lifetime through hell. She didn't have childhood trauma. She said that herself. She had 10 years of it. And when I first went through this with her, I thought, why wasn't it me? Like, I've been through a whole lifetime and blah, blah, blah. But Tracy had the energy to be able to do that. And that was her journey and her job. And I'm so grateful that I found her, because it's the first time in my life that things have settled, where it's like I can finally get on my feet and do this, because I've tried doing this for I think since 2020 with equipment breakdowns and all sorts of stuff, because it was entity interference. The day that I had my first not my first call with Tracy, but the first group call, because you're in a cohort with her, so a few people in a small group, and sitting there, bang, lights go out, everything went out. Luckily my computer was obviously had its backup battery because it was a laptop, gone. And it was just like, what the fuck, like. And she said, Deb, we'll start with you, how are you going? And I'm like, sorry, I don't know if you just noticed the lights went out around me, like the power's just gone off again. And she just went, don't worry, I'll deal with that. And so she did the property clearing, and other than when the power goes out now for, if it trips because of something happens in the house or whatever, it doesn't happen as much anymore at all, really. Like, it's a very, very rare occurrence, and it was very common before. Like I said, when Charlie would have seizures, our power would go out. When I tried to do something spiritual online, the power would go out. And I had one of my, I'll call her a therapist, say to me, well, if you're that powerful that you're tripping the power, it's like, it ain't me. Like, yeah, I'm powerful, but I can't trip by the power. Like, this is entity involvement, and it's people who think they know about entities just do not. Most of them just do not know about it. And so that's why I've showed you, and I'll show you again Tracy's book, because it talks about it. Truth Behind Entity Interference. Okay, so, I know her work. So I've actually trained with her to remove entities myself, because I knew that what I did with her wouldn't be enough. Like, I know that I've been that much of a target. I needed to find that sovereignty and that strength in myself. I needed to be the ones who said clear. So I've done probably 80 entity healings on myself since working with Tracy through doing her course. I was actually in her first ever entity practitioner course. She makes everything safe. She makes everything foolproof, because they have to work by commands. So but I've highlighted, and I'd already done her course. I mean, that's how important it is to me. That's how much it's changed my life. And really this world is controlled by them, at the end of the day, and they feed on trauma, on, darkness, on suffering, on pain, struggle. And the unknown has been so bad for me when I think about this poem, this song now, because of them. It ended up that Charlie had, when Tracy did the work on property and everything after, and she found out he had a negative earthbound soul that was a shapeshifter. So it was like not just going into him. We had other animals that died young, and I'm talking like chickens. We had guinea pigs, we had sheep. I don't know if I've said this at the start of this video, of the animals that we had, because we've got 5 acres and a little farmy thing, and there was so many. Like 15 animals in 18 months died. Now, I come from a farm, and that's unheard of. It's just doesn't happen. And it just decimated us. And like, we are very animal people. Like, I love animals so much that I literally feel like they are like, not just protectors in that, but they're just them. You don't get more of them than animals. They're just doing their thing. They don't pretend. They don't have these programs like we have. That's why I always did animal healing, because it works if it works. They don't think about it. Humans think about it, and then it cannot work on them. Animals don't think about it. It just is what it is. You do energy healing on them. If it works, it works. It's just a journey. My energy healing stopped working because it was literally cut off by darkness. So, and then I, of course, took that on board of me being a failure. It's my fault. Like, why can't I do anything to help these animals anymore? And my God, now I know. And it took a while. It took a while for me to realize that I was a powerful person, and that I've come down here as a divine spark and somebody who's come down here to help. And that's why I've been so targeted. And that is what I stand on now. Excuse me. Because I know it. In every fibre of my being, I've just always had the belief systems that said you're useless, you're worthless, you don't deserve anything good. You've everything told me in my life that I was worth nothing. And I remember the day that I realised that I was the solution and not the problem. And I was in my bedroom doing something, and this just thing come over me. And I walked out to my husband and I said, I'm not the problem, I'm the solution. And he was like, oh, finally, like, she's finally got it, because you don't have all that stuff happen to you just because of your own bad thoughts and belief systems, like your programming. Like, that's what I found so hard. There was just judgment constantly. I don't even really have friends now, because nobody understood it. I had nobody who was going through something similar. And then I had the spiritual groups, which was sort of airy-fairy, but you just ignore it and you move on. And then they're ones who are telling you what to do all the time and what you're doing wrong. And, nobody sits and listens. Nobody sits and listens and says, maybe you have more wisdom than what I do. Maybe what you've gone through has led you into a place where you actually deeply understand what that was about, why you're here, and what that means for you in your life. And now I'm turning it around. So even though I'm not out of the woods yet completely, because now my body is recovering from 46 years of nervous system deregulation, but that's okay, because I know up here that it's and I know in here more importantly what I'm here for. And so the song The Unknown was a deep meaning for me, and that's why I chose it first, because it's not just a general quote of like, oh, people fear the unknown. There's different quotes around about the unknown. Mine was way deeper than just a fear of the unknown. It was like the unknown had never been good for me, and because it was controlled, it was manipulated. There was darkness all through it, and I thought darkness belonged to the people who were abusers and the truth is that they're the tools of the darkness. And I never thought that I would have entities attached to me. I just thought I was, if you're being good and you're an energy healer in that, and it's the opposite, you'll have more attached to you. And Tracy goes into it in her book of like group healings and stuff. Well, I don't do it anymore. Because of what gets released, and it's got to go somewhere. And if you've got a trauma that is not healed, that is in resonance with that entity, it might come out of someone else and go to you. They swap around like anything. They're not stupid. I think this is what I want people to understand most on my channel, is entities are not stupid. They're not just a thing out there that you can go, oh yeah, that was an entity, just spray and just protect yourself and put your sage over you, and like, no. maybe the very minor ones. But we're talking, we got to get serious here on Earth now. We're talking serious entity interference. And entities are not thought forms. My God, that's another one. That's another good one out there. Entities are thought forms. You know, at the highest level, they're thought forms. It's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're beings. So if everything's a thought form, then we become a thought form. Then that's thinking from the brain. We're not a thought form. We're a consciousness. When we pass over, it's a consciousness, not a thought form. Thought forms are your brain here and belief systems. Consciousness is a whole different thing. Spiritual rising is a whole different thing than a thought. And that's where there's so much confusion out there, and I want to cut through it all, and I want to get to this point where people actually understand that, you know, you can listen to a channeler, but who are they channeling? Entities don't always show up as bad. Of course they show up as good. Of course they can. Just like us, they can put a mask on. They can portray themselves as anything. Listen to it. Listen to yourself. Do the entity healing. Do whatever, but listen to yourself. Entities are that deceitful. They had controlled my pendulum. I was getting the wrong answers all the time. My muscle testing even, because it was like me. And then, of course, the doubt comes in, and then it was like this whirlwind of doubt. And then you think, well, I don't even know what's up and what's down now, you know? So we are beings, energetic beings. Here, we have a body and a brain and all that stuff. When we die, we become that energetic being again. I don't know about the soul trap, if anybody's heard about that. The moon being the place that I don't know. I don't even know what it is completely, but you go up there, and then entities posing as light. Whether if you believe in Jesus, it will be Jesus. If it's a dead passed over loved one, you know, and they'll be saying, no, you haven't learned everything yet that you need to learn. Come back down. There's that whole theory as well. Do I subscribe to it? Maybe for the newer souls. Maybe that traps them. I've recently learnt that for soul sparks and for soul people who have come here like this, energy sensitives, that doesn't actually work like that. And there is no net, but really it is, you know, it's your level of consciousness while you're here as to whether, I guess, if that is even true, whether you keep coming back again. And then when you consciously come back as a soul who said, yes, I'm coming back to help, completely different story. I hope that makes sense. It's only sort of a new, I guess, learning for me. But yeah, I think, I mean, I don't want to sound rude, and because everybody is where they're at, every soul is where they're at, but you know the people. Like, if you didn't learn from COVID, when are you going to learn? That's what I'm saying. You know, if you had 6 needles, I'm just saying, you know, you're a new soul. You're not learning. You're not getting it. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see the darkness. You don't want to see it in yourself. You don't want to see it in others. A very different story than people who are consciously shifting and consciously changing. And now, I think that's a thing. We're all on different playing fields. We are all different, very different. And from a soul level, from source level, where we came from, of course we're all the same. You know, where we got created from. But we go on our soul journeys. They're all different. Some have been here for longer, some haven't. You know, and that's how it is. And some, I guess, learn quicker. I don't know. I don't really know. That's something I don't want to judge, because I don't know somebody else's soul journey. But I do know that there is definitely different level of souls here learning and where they're at. So without going on too much more, I wasn't even going to introduce Tracy until I got to her songs and that, but the truth is that I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for her. My equipment failures, my everything that happened, which I'll go through more later, new equipment that failed. And to boot, here's a good one for you. So I wanted to get a new camera, which I have now, yeah. And not because my other one wasn't working, but because I wanted a better quality one and one I could go outside and do videos on, not just a webcam. And so we went to Harvey Norman, and I got the camera and a stand, and Dave got a couple of things for Christmas, and I think a dog like feeder that shoots out pellets, and it's got a camera on it, so when we're gone we can keep an eye on Ollie with his seizures and things like that. Anyway, because we don't go out very often, only for a few hours, but it was just something that we got. It was around Christmas time. Anyway, long story short, we were at Harvey Norman also, or our internet. So our house is still framed. So we've had so much trouble getting internet. Other people out where we are get internet, and no, we could never work out why. And it turns out that our house is like a Faraday cage, but the opposite. Instead of keeping something in, it keeps something out. And because it's steel frame, and so, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining, because the more 5G I can keep out of our house, the better. But we've always had trouble with it, and so we got these little, I don't know technology at all, Wi-Fi things that they come off of it and they sit in different places so that it can actually push it through the room. Can't remember what they're called. Anyway, so we had to have like 3 of them to be able to get it to where I am now, because it's the worst in this room where I'm now. And I only turn it on when I have to download things or do things. It's not on all the time. But so anyway, we were getting that internet set up because we were giving it a try, because nothing else had worked and it was so horrible out here. Anyway, we went. The store shut at 5:30, and it was 6:30 a bit after 6:30 by the time we left. And so there were 3 of the boys there with us, helping us out, and we were sort of like, oh, sorry it's taken so long. And they're like, no, you're right. Anyway, we left, found out the next morning Harvey Norman had burnt down in the electrical department. And Dave went back there a few days later to ask about like what would happen with our stuff, because we hadn't actually, they allowed us to take some of our stuff home without the payment going through. The reason the payment didn't go through is because we were using like buy now pay later, like interest free thing, and so the payment didn't go through, because, which has never happened before either, that I pay it 2 days before and it hadn't gone through yet. Anyway, so that's what we were sort of waiting on, and then when we found out, they said, look, take this stuff, not all of it, but the internet stuff, let us know if it works, and you can come back and get your other stuff tomorrow, or I think it was 2 days later we're going to come back. Well, the next morning we found out the store had burnt down, the electrical department, and I was just straight away like, oh my god, like it couldn't be. So Dave went there a couple of days later. They had a marquee set up outside because they had a Black Friday sale. And when he walked in, the boy goes, oh, here he is. He's like, this is the people who were there when just before the store burnt down. And so Dave's my husband, by the way. And so he walked up to him, and he said to Dave said to him, to this boy, where did the fire start? And he goes, oh, up near the photo machine. And he said they think that's what might have started it, but they're not 100% sure. And he goes, actually, right next to where your gear was. And when Dave came home and helped me, I knew it was entity involvement, because getting anything to set up my so I emailed Tracy, and she's just like, yep, you need to do it around your songs and your, because they have, entities can get into businesses, to creative projects, to whatever, and it wouldn't surprise me with what I was going through at the time. So I did a clearing on that, and ended up, they ordered a new camera, and now the store's still only in half a store, but yeah, it did a good job. It started, I think, about an hour and a half after we left the fire. So people would think that's far-fetched, but what I know about entity involvement, it's not. And that's just another story to show you, like, just what they will do to stop somebody from getting their voice out there, like me. Even if I think it's just my journey, clearly it's going to help a lot of people, and clearly Tracy's stuff is going to help a lot of people as well. So yes, I've trained with her entity practitioner course. I'm not offering it just yet. I will be once I get my health back on track and my nervous system good. But for now, this is my start to do the job that the darkness didn't want me to do. And part of me didn't want me to do either, because sitting in front of a camera for me, I've had a fair few practices because I've been trying to get this going for a long time with the music side of it. But it's not me. I'm in the background. I sort of have been, very much like, just the person who stays in the background and doesn't create a fuss, doesn't sort of, put myself out there heaps. And now here I am doing this. So there was a long story after the unknown, but it gives you an insight into what I'm into, and you can choose whether you come along on my journey and my songs and, be there with me through this, and whether it will help you or not. If you're the sort of person who's like, I know there's something else going on in my life and I'm trying everything to make sure that I'm, manifesting, wonderful things in my life, and it's just not happening. Maybe this is it. And I've just got to say, for me, healing was almost a job. That's something I've sort of backed down on now. I just do somatic exercises at night to help my nervous system. I will do healings if I feel I really need to, but when I was going through all that, I was healing almost daily because it was just so traumatic, and I felt so trapped, and I have a song about it as well. But here I am, talking to you now. So yay me, yay us. Let's rise. Thanks for being here, guys. And I really hope you got something out of this, and something in you just went, maybe that's not it. Or maybe you went, yeah, that's what I've been thinking. I do that a lot with some videos. But yeah, if you've got that resonance with it, and if it fits with you, then welcome, and follow me on this journey. But don't like the word follow. Come along on this journey. And if you'd like to leave a comment about your experiences, do that. But either way, it's good to have you here, and thanks for being here. Okay. Oh, one last thing I nearly forgot. I always have I have shirts that I have quotes on, because I like quote shirts and I wear them most of the time where I go. But I have them for this channel, and I just wanted to share today's shirt because it's an important message, I think. So I've got to get it around the right way. Every little thing is going to be alright. Every little thing is going to be alright. Yes, that's a Bob Marley song. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be alright. And it will be, because now there's answers. There's answers for people who couldn't find them anywhere else. And even if it's other people doing entity removal on you and it hasn't worked, or things have come back worse, I see it all the time. I see the patterns now. I see the patterns, and that was, you have the attunement and you can't unsee it now. I even see the people that are being mean to me, that I thought they were reflecting something in myself. That's what I thought, because that's what you get told. But I actually see the entities now attached to them, because the entities were getting in on a wound that I had, that people didn't like me. And now it still happens, but I'm very aware of it, and have done healing on it, but it's not something that you can actually heal, because they won't stop. Entities sort of don't stop working through other people who allow them to work through them, whether they know it or not. Entities will work through people all the time. That is what they do. They use other people to get to people, and that's another thing that you'll learn along this journey with me, how they get in and what they do. And it's just a matter of now I just don't let it affect me. I just go, I see what's going on. It's not about you or me, it's about what is there, especially now I've healed that aspect of me. It's kind of like I can see it very clear now. So not everything is about healing your thoughts or your beliefs, or I mean that's a good place to start, and it definitely helps. But it's a hard one, because like Tracy said, they get in through trauma, they get in through negative thought forms, they get in through all these things. But also, if you come as a baby and you can't control that, your soul has said, I will come down here and I will do that, and it's going to be hard. And hey, I went through all of this, so I could say to people, I ain't doing astral travel, I ain't, channeling, I ain't doing all this stuff. I've been there. I am the channel. I am the healer. I am the person that just by talking to you can help you on your journey. And I came here to go through all that pain and record it through song so that I could talk to you about it in a real grounded, practical way. I'm bringing spirituality to the 3D because we all want to escape it. And we can't, because we have to be in this body. And we're meant to be in this body to help. So that's my job. And I'm grateful to be here doing this alongside of you. So yeah, thank you again for being here. Comment if anything resonated here, and comment anyway if you would like. But thanks for being here, and I'll see you on my next video. Okay, take care.